Hi, this is Jim,
And this is Hisham. And this is,
Quantumly Leaping Podcast.
yes. Okay, so this is our third official um, um, episode, right?
Yes.
And today we're talking about a topic that might be a little bit controversial, but it's very important. And it is about employment in the 21st century. And before COVID-19, we were just doing, this thing generally. But I would believe that now when we're talking about it's going to be like 21st century and specifically or especially post COVID-19 because there are a lot of changes that are happening right now. So let's begin. But before we talk about it, I just want to say a quick point that let our audiences know the format that we usually have one subject, a big topic with four subjects about it. Everyone is like 10 minutes. And I know, Jim, you were telling me that a lot of people are contacting you and telling you that we should do it longer. We should talk about it because we're touching on very sensitive things and very important. But um, uh, the idea of it is to talk a little bit briefly about anything. But we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna extend in other episodes, in other upcoming episodes. I mean, like it's not like we just have to talk about the topic once upon a time and that's it. We will extend, but every episode we were gonna take that. I mean, like we might talk about employment and job in another podcast episode, but we're gonna take some other subjects. But it's just we're trying to give you like light bites of these topics, so we're not overwhelmed with information and all. And if in the future, because this is a very big crisis and tough times, in the future, if we found that we might need to extend the episode time, we're also open to that. So just wanted to let that. Do you want to add anything? Because you're the one that getting these requests from people.
Yeah. Thanks for again for that opening. Yeah, I speak at a number of different events here in Toronto, and I have a newsletter that goes out. So people always my connections and contacts reach back to me, or via conversation. And I have found this topic specifically something that everyone's asking me about. We're discussing it in various ways. Even individuals who are currently working and want to transition out of their job to a new job, they're having these issues too. So it's not just someone, say like myself, who's doing various contracts here the last 4 years, and working on you know finding a full time employment. But I think that it's a common theme that I'm hearing. So that's why I think it was great to discuss this today. So thanks a lot. So let's get started.
Yeah, and I think our first topic here, or first thing that we have to start about is automation. It's a big, huge thing in the people's mind, and I think this is the biggest fear,
Mm-hmm.
which pushes the fear against technology or AI or whatever, is that technology is taking our jobs. And the fact is, there are two things that I want to hear as someone who works in technology and AI. And it's like, first of all, technology doesn't take jobs; they take tasks from people, and we automate the tasks that are iterative and non-creative, and that could be done in some. But automating like a lot of tasks, that means automating a full job from a being or from a group of people, which is why people do are so afraid about that. And the thing is, machines have been taking our jobs since the dawn of history. I mean, like there was a cartoon I always show. I mean, and I know you maybe watched that in my speeches. Is that cartoon of those cavemen, a group of cavemen? One of them is carving a wheel, and a
Yeah.
lot of others are standing and saying no wheels here because it's like it's a cartoon, but I think it's a really
Yes. Yes.
it really expresses how people are, how machines and how inventions are taking our jobs since the history, since the date of we have wheels since the day that we invented, I don't know, other tools. But the invention of the wheel itself have created a lot of other jobs. See how many people are working in now in vehicle industry or in automotive industry. So it's the fear that we might have initially of something might create a lot of other jobs in the future, right? And I know that you have faced a lot of this during your life, that a machine takes a job from someone, specifically in the marketing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, I like to say it's a great example you give. Maybe people have seen these cartoons in various ways, whether someone's created a gun and they're still using, rocks or something. So this is nothing new, and I think it's important, Hisham, that you mentioned this because it just didn't show up right now. This has been happening, and I think the context of this is very important. I worked. A quick example: I worked in the airline industry where we built huge planes, commercial airliners, the 7500. It's about a couple of years ago. I was there for a 6-month contract, and the reason I mention this is that many of the big pieces were put together. A lot of the smaller pieces were done by humans, and the company was always talking about automating this, and I kind of laughed a little bit because what many people do not know or are going to get blown away by this, planes are basically full of billions and trillions of small pieces. Yeah. You may just see the wing and the nose and the fuselage. I know it's only 6 months, ladies and gentlemen, but let me tell you, I was in these planes. I was fully involved, beginning to end, and it's another discussion for another day. But they were evolving to taking some of the roles that they felt were repetitive and put them in automation. And this is something they were seriously talking about. And I couldn't really see it, in my opinion. I couldn't see it because of the intricacies of some of the roles. Now, not just to say that's going to happen, but I think that what I've seen in other industries, this has already happening. And even in COVID time, we're filming this, companies who are making cars now are making ventilators, or companies that were making other things are making hand sanitizer, they're making 3D masks. The 3D machines now are gold now. These 3D machines that people were making fun of maybe 5-6 years ago, Hisham, now are making 3D masks, okay? And I was a big fan of 3D printers for a long time. So this is about the topic here, but more of a grand scale, but it has not just showed up here, ladies and gentlemen. It's been here a while. So I think it's important to understand the context we're telling you right now.
Yeah, and it's good that you brought the topic of 3D printing because
yes.
3D printers, there are 3D printers now in the work that could do buildings, like that can build a building. I mean, like maybe not on a large scale right now, but this is a start. And
yes.
that might be really scary for people who work in construction. Like, what is going to happen to us? And is 3D printing going to print everything from now on? I mean, like, it reminded me of I'm a big fan of Star Trek, when they were asking for food or anything in those machines, and just in a few seconds, it's like the food is there. And I still remember how that was years ago. That was science fiction, and now it's slowly becoming a science. The fiction is getting away from a lot of what we're calling science fiction, and it's becoming real science. But here's the point. I'm still optimist, and I think that the thing is the market is shifting. Like for example, we needed a lot of people now in the technology sector. So a lot of people might move from the construction to be in the technology sector for construction. And I believe that there's a lot of opportunities. Of course, not everybody can do coding or can program or do an app, but there's a need for people in technology that are not technological people, not developers, but that like consultants or anything like that, because we need them. And it's I think it's a matter of shifting and upgrading skills, right? I mean, like you've been in a lot
Can I add something?
Of course, I just wanted to take your opinion about how's that, because I know that you have an experience into that, into upgrading your own skills and getting from a small field that you were in into a bigger one,
Yeah.
into another bigger one.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Hisham. Basically, I'll make this short. So my background is basic logistics for many years. Again, as I mentioned, I was in the airline industry, and the last 5 years, business and all that. But the past year and a half, this is probably last couple of years, I have shifted. I have begun to learn about media, about videography, photography. Now, I'm actually very good photographer. Thank you for Sham kind of getting me started off. But every time I talk to Sham, I tell him about my solo photo walks, which is another podcast in itself. But let's get right into it. So I began to learn a lot about AI. Hisham did a talk last year on AI. I've watched it. I've began to read some books on AI. I'm attending events on machine learning AI. It was not easy, ladies and gentlemen, but I can tell you, in 8 or 9 months, it has become a very fascinating experience. I just read a book called The Weapons of Math Destruction that Hisham was reading, and I finally decided that I'll give it a read. And it was a phenomenal book. I've been reading everyone to read it. There's a lot of powerful things that maybe I've mentioned, I think, on some other podcasts. But at the end of the day, I think that we all have the ability to do so. So I've looked at an area which maybe wasn't outside my realm, ladies and gentlemen, but now it's in a lane for me. And I think that the possibilities and the probabilities to opening up opportunities is here. And I'll give everybody breaking news. I'm actually going to be submitting a TEDx Toronto talk to speak about what Hisham and I are talking about. Here, I just told Hisham yesterday. So I would not, in a very long time, been saying, I'm going to do this. 6 months ago, if you had asked me a year ago to be submitting a talk on quantum leaping, I would have said, no way, honestly. So I want to share my story to tell you that I think we have to evolve and learn. And I've come a long way in a lot of areas. I'm adding skill sets. It's not adding another plate. It's adding a skill set. And this is very serious. And I've monetized everything that I've done. And I think it's important to say that it doesn't matter what age. I think that I made a step into it. Hisham was very helpful in leading me there. But I had to decide, okay, if that's not going to be my thing anymore, then what else can I apply my expertise? And I'm glad to tell you that it's been an amazing experience. And I continue to learn. Not just 2 days ago, I listened to a webinar that Hisham had recommended. It was like an hour. They were talking about machine learning and AI of individuals all over the world. And there's a few people from Toronto on it. So at the end of the day, we have to shift. And I think that the opportunity is to do so, because you never know. Maybe I make, who knows? Maybe in 6 months, I'll be working in that field doing, maybe not programming Hisham, okay, but maybe as a consultant, maybe on a project, So that knowledge for me is powerful. So I appreciate letting me share this, because I think that the reality is, even we're in this COVID week 5 or 5 of COVID here, this is the best opportunity to take that learning. And I want to be at the end of this, when we finally get back to some normalcy, that I'll be a sought after speaker, moderator. There's a lot of openings now. Like I can maybe moderate something or lead a discussion on something. So I hope that helps a little bit. I'll throw it back to you, Sham.
Yeah, and it's good that we talked about shifting the skills and upgrading, because our next point is also about that, and about how it's important right now. Not because a couple of years ago, you could stay in your same job with the same set of skills, like for 10 years, 20 years, and you need to upgrade every 5, 10 years, or maybe never to 10.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's becoming like every year you have to upgrade your skills more than once. I mean, like not just once a year. It's more than once that you need to upgrade your skills. You need to be on the top. You need to be on the edge of the technology. And it's not the technology itself, like programming or anything, on the technology of what you're working on. Because everybody uses a technology of some kind in their work. No one nowadays mostly doesn't do any technology in their job, and it's like it becoming overwhelming, and it is becoming like, what should I do? What is my career path? It's gonna go. What to choose? What is best for me? And we have a big problem here. not just in Canada or in the West world, but I think
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, is that the companies do not stop caring too much about training people, giving
Yes,
them that new set of skills to
it's
keep
true.
them, to keep their continuity. And what they do is now they prefer to go, so like, oh, so now you're obsolete or your skills are not up to that, so like just lay you off, look for someone else, hire them with it, with that set of skills, and put them. Now this could look like a solution for them, because yeah, they don't want to invest in your training on, but this
Mm-hmm.
is a very serious thing, because if
It
you're
is.
bringing people who didn't know, I mean, like, you're replacing someone who's there for like 10 years. It's not just about the skills that he lost or he have. He's
Yeah.
knowing the place, he knows the people, he knows the customers, he knows everything, and
Yes.
you're replacing him with someone because he does have those skills but have no history about that. And also loyalty. When you are there for 10 years, 5 years, you
Yeah.
have more loyalty than someone who have joined. But I do think that companies, big corporations, small corporations, or whatever, they have to invest in skills upgrade. And I know that you have a very personal experience in that, which I would hope that you can share with our audience about this.
Can you just what in what area? Sorry.
Oh no, you once told me about a company that you're not gonna say the name of the company, and you said
Okay.
that they were replacing people that you knew, and they were there for like 15 years or
Yes.
so, with new guys have no experience, or it not, didn't
Oh
even
yes.
have an
Yes.
experience. You remember that story? So I don't want to
Yeah.
say the
Yeah. Yeah.
names of the companies because we're not. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not, we're not afraid about the legal consequences. It's I don't want to connect it to a company because that happens everywhere. But
It
I
does.
wanted
It
you
does.
to share your personal experience that you told me about in that
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. So yeah, in my experiences, I've worked for companies for 10 plus years. But upon recently, I worked for an organization, and it became very apparent that they weren't going to keep people long term. And it was a very weird situation. Because I didn't believe it. I was excited about the company I was working for, and then as time went on, I began hearing that this group won't be here long. I kept hearing this, and we had a great team, and then very quickly became a reality one day, where within 2 weeks we were gone, and it was devastating for me personally, professionally, but the people I work with. My phone never stopped ringing for 3 days. Now, why that happens? Because people have looked at me as a leader. They looked at me as a person they enjoyed working with, and it was hard. And I can tell you that I learned a lot. That loyalty, I don't know what that word meant anymore after a while. I thought they were loyal with me both ways. And even just recently, about 2 months ago, a gentleman I worked with left me a message on LinkedIn, and he's had a very hard time evolving his skill set. He telling me, "Oh, I don't feel smart enough," and all that. So he called me. We had a conversation for about an hour. Now, I didn't try to convince him to do something he didn't want to do, but what I wanted to tell him is give him a path. And I'm glad to say that he reached out to me about maybe 2 months after that, and he had taken a course, an apprentice course, and all that. And I smiled for almost 10 minutes. And he called me. He says, "My wife wants to thank you." you know, but here's the moral. I didn't change him, but I want to tell him that you are a very smart man. He's he was in his mid 30s, Hisham. Very smart guy. But he never had the confidence that he felt that he can evolve and do that. And fast forward to myself now, currently, just a mini story is I got into photography about 2 years ago. I always take pictures with my phone, but Peter Parker, I said, doesn't have a phone. He has a camera. Again, I guess I'm a Marvel crazy guy here. But so I got a camera in December 2018. And let me tell you, life changing. I began making money with my camera within 90 days of buying it. Hisham helped me a little bit. I went to the library, took books. I joined the solo photo walk club, great club on Meetup. So I have to plug that. And but fast forward now, I can actually we've done Shisham and I have done some media events here recently, and it was great to not just be the reporter in it, but able to take photographs, capture some of that, do some video, add some maybe good B-roll, and I felt more in part. Not that I wasn't, but personally, I'll share a personal story as well. Is that we have to evolve. Even during this corporate time, I'm taking 5 webinars a week. 5 webinars a week I'm taking. And you ask, wow, that's a lot. I would take more. I'm taking webinars on skill sets. I'm taking webinars on that challenging me, right? And I think that's important. So I hope that little story helps from a coworker and myself, and I'll throw it back to you, Ishan.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that you mentioned that, because you might, as a person, you might have a motivation to, or like a clear vision of yourself and what you want to do, or sometimes, as you said, it just came like by serendipity, but you took it. But a lot of people don't know that. They don't have that ability, or they don't know what to do. And I believe that the role of their company, the corporation that they work on, is to lead them and is to train them, putting on. I still remember the days when we worked with a lot of corporations who are getting like about 10% or even 15% of their budget for training. Nowadays, it's becoming less and less in a time that we need more training, we need more information, and they're concentrating more on making money rather than creating people. I have heard this Chinese proverb many years, and he said, like, if you wanna make money in like something like 5 years, like a year, grow what do you call it, the wheat, grow wheat. If you wanna make something for 10 years, grow something else. I forgot. If you want to make money for 100 years, no, sorry, for 10 years, grow trees. And if you want to make for 100 years, grow people. Because these are the seeds that will go on, because people will do that and more, and they will take it with them from a generation to another. So growing people is the biggest investment, and this is a very ancient wisdom that I hope that people in business would listen to, and we realize it on the ground. And speaking of also the skills and the skill set, I want to jump onto also like the hiring process, because part of investing in people, it's not just train them, but you also have to hire people. Or when people are retiring, or when people are leaving or changing the jobs, you have to bring people on. And the hiring process right now is becoming, I don't know what to say, but I would say at the least becoming less human and very confusing. And there's a lot of biases for that matter. Like, for those of you who don't know, anyone who applies for a job right now, what happens is you upload your resume to a system that's all total based on AI. I'm not saying that I'm against that as well. It's a very helpful, but the thing is that AI is supposed to help us, not supposed to replace us. But a lot of people don't take that step to do a human evaluation, and they take that on the evaluation. And the thing is, there are people like me, that who worked on AI, could understand those algorithms easily and can manipulate them. Not that I'm doing that, of course. I mean, like, it's very unethical, which we're going to talk about in the next episode about ethics. But people who do, I mean, some people are paying for companies to create those resumes that will make them on the top. And sometimes they don't have enough experience or anything, but those companies know how these algorithms work, and they take like $500 of you, and they make you that resume, which will actually affect other people who didn't know that. And because HR departments are relying more and more on the technology, not on the human factor, this happens. I mean, I know that you also have troubles with that. like I would like you to share that with our audience.
Yeah, and I don't mind sharing about this. It is. It has been a point that has been, I don't know, frustrating. I'll be honest. But you know, at the end of the day, this is again the evolving. But what I can tell you, the silver lining is this: is yes, there's companies who are doing this, and that's their business model. It is totally okay, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the thing: I decided to take ownership. So what I did, I consider myself a leader, an influencer, a teacher, a trainer. This is what I did. I went out, I learned. Actually, I talked to Hisham about this. I evolved my resume, and I changed my resume. I didn't change it that much, and let me tell you, it works. I began getting phone calls. I got interviews. Many doors opened up, and it was because I had to swallow my pride a little bit and have a lot of therapy sessions with individuals, and I'll be honest, to feel that it's all about guerrilla marketing now. I've read many books on this, and you can go to the library, but you have to go out there. And for me, what I realized on a professional level, I've been doing this for a very long time, since early 2003, just before I met my mentors. I will share stories on a future podcast that Hisham and I were talking about. And I'll tell you this, and now I'm writing all these ideas down because I want to share this. I mean, I had a Laserdisc network many years ago, these big discs, I was selling them. But here's the silver line, ladies and gentlemen, is I give everyone listening and watching this the right to improve yourself and go out there and seek the information. There's libraries, there's online learning resources. I'm not doing anything different. I'm actually going out to my network. I'm asking, I'm getting newsletters. You know, how did I know about all these webinars? A lot of them are coming to me. A lot of them are referrals and all that. This is by being a connector. I'm a connector. I'm very proud of it. But it works both ways. So it is frustrating, Hisham. It absolutely is. But on the other end is, what can you do? And I feel I have the right to do so. And that has evolved. I've had interviews. I actually got hired by a huge tourism company here that's going to be doing tourism in Toronto here, but it was supposed to start obviously because of COVID, and it will happen here. And I remember having an interview with a gentleman, and he asked me to answer all these questions, and then he asked me basically to talk more about my answers. And I told him about an experience I had in San Francisco where I cycled across the Golden Gate Bridge, and I can send you pictures. He says, "You have pictures?" Yes, I do. I have about 1,000 pictures, right? So I got to that first base. I got to second base. By the time I was done, I had reached my whole plate, and they had hired me, and they wanted me to get started, even maybe doing some online stuff for them here next few months. So you have to do something to open that door. And I think what I'm telling anyone who wants to listen is, I think you have to take your pride, put it away, and tear that resume apart. And it's not that you want to fool the applicable tracking systems. You don't want to do that. You actually want to work with them in your favor. And I'm telling you, you can. It's all about a little bit of structure, a little bit about words, and that's about it. I'm telling you, it's not as much as thing. But again, it takes a little research, some reading, and some analyzing, and you will be shocked. So thank you for letting me share, Hisham, but I want to give people also what I did. Okay, it's very important because it is a challenge, but what are you going to do? I can't sit back and wait. I've been telling you through this whole podcast of how I've evolved. I'm proud of this. And many other in my sphere of community are like, wow. They're like, wow, you did it. I go, I've been doing this for a long time. Like, I appreciate that, but you can do this. I'm not being motivational here. I'm telling you, you can do this. So I'll throw it back to Shan. Thanks for letting me motivate and inspire a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that I also wish that there will be more of a human factor in that evaluating process, not just all.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a technical guy, and we created those
Yeah.
kind of systems, and I know how efficient they are, but I know that also they can be manipulated. Like the example that I wanted to say is the one that we read in the book, the Weapons of Mass Destruction, on that teacher who was doing very well. But the evaluating system put her like as a poor, because her
as a bad
school, or poorly performing, because her school was in a very low performing neighborhood, a
That's right.
poor neighborhood, and all of that thing, which is my point. AI does deal with numbers. People deal with emotions as well. And
Yeah.
everyone was telling, all the parents, everybody was tell that this teacher was amazing. But giving the circumstances is this is the word that we all use, and this is one of the most humanly words that we use, given the circumstances, because we can understand context. But
Yeah.
she was evaluated badly, and
Yes.
she moved to a better school, which is good for her,
Yes.
but it's bad for the school that it was
Yeah.
there, because they lost a very good. And my point is, like, the Ontario government is thinking about making that kind of evaluation here. Well, we know it didn't work in somewhere else, and this is what I'm trying to push: is that technology is good, but I think that specifically when it comes to human evaluation, there should be a human factor in evaluating
Yes.
people. There should be checks
Yes.
and balances on
Yes.
how does those machine work,
Yeah.
how does those algorithms are being developed, right? I mean,
Yes.
like, you read the
Yes.
book. I mean,
I
you know
read the
what I.
book. I read the book, and that chapter blew me away. So, just to add some more what Hisham says, get this book, ladies and gentlemen, Weapons of Math Destruction. Actually, 2,000 teachers were fired. Okay, fired because they were bad teachers. I'm like, wow, that many bad teachers? And then one teacher, this particular teacher, she challenged everything, and blessed that she did, because they went and checked the AI, they did an investigation, and then these anomalies all came up. And it was a thing that the algorithm was only following at that, and there was other things that were happening. It's a great book. I want to root it for you, but at the end of the day, it was a powerful chapter for me that there just can't be 2,000 bad teachers. It's just beyond me. I can understand, maybe five, but 2,000 because the system said there were bad teachers. So one of the most powerful books. I'm glad I read it. Maybe a little longer than I thought, but um, there's other chapters in it about jobs and all that and AI. But a very powerful book that made a big impression on me.
Yeah, and I believe it's important that people know what they're dealing with, because everyone who applies for a job, everyone who is getting evaluated for a job or anything, passes through these things without themselves knowing. So it is a good thing that they know what they are facing, or what they are up to, who are they up to, or what the
Yeah.
things that they are up to. And it's very important to know that. And of course, while we're talking about the evaluation process, I would just say that people don't be afraid of technology. After all,
Mhm.
people develop technology, and
Yes.
it's made to help us, not to be against us. So the awareness is very important. It's because
Yep.
of this teacher, as you said, and she raised that. Now everybody
Yes.
knows about it, and we have to take an action against that.
Yes.
And the system it was developed many times after that, but
Yeah.
because she wasn't afraid, she talked, and she knew she has an awareness. And I believe everybody should do that. Now, since we were talking about that, I'm going to also talk about the biases in the employment process, because evaluating is something, but there are also biases when it comes, even sometimes when you're evaluated high and your resume comes to some person, and your name is not the normal John Smith
Yeah.
Canadian style name. And
Yes.
I myself have faced something like that when your name is different, and
Yes.
because you're still a name on a paper to them, they didn't see you.
Yes.
They're like, I don't even know if that guy speaks English very well. Many of those people were born in this country, but they're born for immigrant parents who choose to give them those names based on their own culture. And it's not just
Yes.
names; they're also ages. And I know that both of us have faced a lot of that, and ageism, sexism
Yes.
as well. There are jobs that are, like, I don't know, reserved for men, and
Yes.
some are reserved for women. I mean, like, less, of
Yes.
course, most jobs reserved for men, just to be fair, and less are reserved for men. But the fact that there is a job that is related to a sex or a gender is also very, very annoying, and very troubling to me, by the way. So, uh, from your own experience, the one of the many that we talked about, like in ageism or anything like that, I want you to just share it with, because I believe this is what makes our podcast interesting is that we share our very personal experience and how we moved on from them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, listen, I'm passionate about this podcast, and I'll tell you, yes, I can tell you how old I am, but you can see I'm a mature individual here. Um, it bothered me, and I talked to Hisham many times about this. And what I realized was, um, it actually happened. It was. This is going to be a funny story, but I have a hard drive here of pictures of me since 2008. And I told Hisham this story. And I was looking back in 2011 and 12. And at that time, a lot of things happened to me in that 2011, 12. I was thinner, uh, younger. But the one thing that everyone tells me about me, even then, but now, is not what I looked like, but what I was doing, and how I was persistent and moving forward. And I didn't even realize this. I was just doing it. I was going. And those characteristics are still in me. Okay, they're still in me. And what I realized is I'm the same person. I'm just a little older, and I had to again focus and go. Okay, it is frustrating, but what can I do about it? Nothing. I take care of myself. I'm proud of that. I cycle, play ball hockey. Hisham has seen me. I do movies. I'm an accomplished actor. 5 years. Thank you very much. Check mark. I have not let it. And I've done very well in the movie industry. I've played all sorts of characters. And when I tell you this story, is that, oh, and everybody thinks, oh, I have to get into the movies? No. But it really gave me an indicative thing that everything I did it with purpose, and I did it with things. So I couldn't let that bother me, and I didn't. And what happened was I was getting booked more and more. Just before COVID, I had 2 solid weeks and going into April of things with Hisham as well, right? And I said to myself, I can lull and be pissed off at myself and blame the world, which sometimes I'm very good at, or I can lift up my socks and go forward. And that's what I do. And yes, has it happened to me where I walk in an interview and I knew like this, I wasn't going to get it? Yes, many times. And I've talked to Hisham and others about this. I just turned around, left. It was a learning experience. I won't use foul language. It was an experience. But I think I had to take the high road. I had to do that. And I'm glad that I have. And even now, I'm transforming myself into more of an online entity. I have some products here that I sell and all that. I'm not getting deep into them, but it's all about you. You have no other choice but to evolve and do that, because you can't change this. I can't change. I don't want to change it. This is great. Okay, I'll be honest. But the reality is that that's happened to me. Okay, next, and I had to go next, and that was the attitude I had, and I began to get those because I know I'm capable. I know I'm a hireable individual, and that's when I did an infomercial with Hisham for a great new invention. I was I, I was at it. I was thinking, and then all of a sudden, unfortunately, COVID cut everything out. But now, 5 weeks into this, 6 weeks into this COVID, I'm listening, I'm reading, I'm making notes, great notes by the way, and I'm evolving. So I hope that the vulnerability that I thought I had, I turn it into confidence, being driven and persistent. And this is not motivation stuff. This is real, ladies and gentlemen. I want to be real with you. So I hope this the context shows that. And what can you do? Libraries, webinars, phone friends, go online, meet up, Eventbrite, blogs, webinars. Where do you want me to start? Those are all resources that you have, ladies and gentlemen, either watching or listening to this. So I'll throw it back to Hisham.
Yeah, and I understand, because maybe a lot of people don't know that, but I've passed, that I've passed a very, very difficult time. We started a
Yes.
project, it didn't work, and then I started looking for a job, and I was was jobless for a long time, and I even went on to welfare, which is something I never thought I'm going to do. It's not something that I am how is it, I'm being embarrassed of. It's everybody goes into that one. But one of the things is I would take to talk about is like we should also step against biases, like just you said, and try to find things. One of the interviews that I went in, one of the very few interviews that I went, and I was really in need for a job at the time. One of the interviewers told me like after we're done, I said like, oh, I was impressed by your English, very good English. I was like, what is it? And I'm sure that he looked at my resume and he realized that I don't have that John Smith name, and he may be one of the people who thought, oh, maybe this guy doesn't even speak English. And the fact is, and you know that I studied in an English school since I was 3 years old, and I have a vocabulary that a lot of people who were born in this country doesn't have. I'm not showing off. It was just we studied the English curriculum that was being studied by taught in England, and it was not an easy thing. But here's the thing: I cannot stop people from getting biases because they read my Middle Eastern name and they thought that, oh, that guy might not even speak in English very well, and I refuse to change my name as a lot of people change to a Western name or a Canadian name, and just because I wanted people to see me for who I am. And I was in need for a job, but you know what? I didn't even contact them. They sent me an email after that. I'm not sure what it is. I never even opened it. I was telling myself I'm not gonna work in a place that judged me like that. Even if I'm in need for a job, I'm gonna look for a place who doesn't have those judgments, because biases are very, very dangerous.
Yes.
And okay, I passed a very difficult time, and I know a lot of people when they hear this, they would say like, "Were you crazy?" But I wasn't. Now I have a better job. I had others worked in freelance and a lot of things, and now I have a good job and all. But it's something like also, you know, you cannot stop biases, but you can keep on moving forward and looking
Yes.
into that. But
Yes.
what I would love to see as well is a much better employment process. I love what the Toronto Symphony Orchestra is doing. Like many years ago, they realized that most people, or like if not everyone, if their player is white and mostly males, not even females. So they have gone through this process that for people to come and audition, what they do is the judges doesn't know the name, it doesn't show on them. They just get a resume without that name or personal a lot of information they give with experience, and the people auditioning in front of like curtains, zigzag curtain.
Hmm.
So they just
Yes.
listen to the music and the performance. That's what
Yes.
we called blind recruitment, and we were trying to push it. I hope we were trying to talk to Mr. Navdeep Bains, the Minister of Creativity, because we wanted to create to because it's easy
Hmm.
maybe in music, but it might be not affordable to other kinds of jobs. But we wanted to find a creative way to push that kind of a blind
Yeah.
recruitment process into all types of jobs, so that people will not have pres presumptive biases, whether they see your name on paper or whether they meet you and they
Yes.
see that you have a different skin color or a different
Yes.
accent or something like
Yeah.
that. So I do believe that, like everybody knew that I overcame that, but it was not an easy process, and it takes a lot of perseverance. And I hope that people will keep on and will push into that. But we're at the end of our episode, so I would like to close with this, um, like we're not against technology or using technology in hiring or anything like that, but I personally love to have technology with that human factor all together. And I know that you have something to say about that because we talked about before the episode, so I'll let you chime on that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're not gonna beat this technology. But what I think the opportunity is this, and I mentioned it earlier, the ability to learn is there for you. the ability to associate, the ability to learn about your community is all there. These are all three things. These are not secrets. Learning, socializing, meeting, and being proactive are all four things that anyone listening to this and watching it. I have done it, and I've done it. I'm very proud of it. I continue to do it because I just say next. So there is options, and I think that it's all about having a community, reaching out to your professional community, and I think nowadays they are all available. LinkedIn, Messenger, phone. There's no excuse now. They're around, right? And I just want to give people everyone listen to this, the clear, crystal goods that you can do this. You can do this, and we're not. I don't talk about fluff. I talk about reality, and it's not. It may not be fun. It may not be fun. Is it fun? No, no, it's not fun. But part of this show, and I want to plug our show. Part of what quantum leaping is about talking about this. The next 3 episodes we have is going to be talking about other topics, but we're going to peel the onion, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk about things that are going to be a little controversial, tough to deal with, tough to listen to, maybe even. But this is what quantum leaping is about. We are going to challenge who we think we are, but who we can become. Period.
Yeah, exactly. And I always tell people go out, show your face off, because going into those, and it happened to me, by the way, going out to those events, being outside in the community, because it doesn't matter how much technology we apply, we still appreciate human connection. You might meet your next employer in one of those events, and when they see when they look at your resume, and they know that, I know this guy. I saw them in here and there, and he spoke into that event or something like that. That is very, very, very effective. If you cannot meet them, if you cannot send them even an email, because a lot of them are so busy and all of these things, go out to these events. A lot of them are there, or at least someone who would recommend you from that company or know something like that. Going out, human communication is the key, and it will be there for as long as we are living on this planet. So I know that we talk about it, the negativity of being in biases, but I think it's in our hand. And also, I still would like the companies do something about biases, but I think also it's part of us as people who can eliminate those biases by being there and talking about these topics as well. It should be like, when you hear this, I'm hopeful that people who listen to that will push more for less biased recruitment process, talk about it, be out of it, and be out with it. Sorry, and we'll reach to a point. And I think post COVID-19 is going to be a very, very important time for us to fix all that. And there's an episode about that. I know that we're promising too much for people about this episode, but we're still waiting also to see what happens, and we want to collect a lot of information and give a better, clearer idea of how we think the world post COVID-19 is. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jim, again for being on with this.
I just want to be. This is Constantly Leaping. Jim Pugiamps is here in Toronto. Here it is. This little thing for myself there. So I just wanted to share.
Yeah. It looks like a CD cover. I think we should publish it. Should publish it on. Yes.
Publish it
on a
watch,
Blu-ray CD.
Share. Listen, watch, share. Thank you.
Thank you, and let's say bye and see you in the next
Bye.
next episode. Bye.